Welcome to another edition of our YouTube channel, Southeast Asia Vibes, The Good Life. As an expert in Southeast Asia and living here as well for over 10 years now, I go over the various destinations here in Southeast Asia and tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. We don't sugarcoat anything like so many other YouTube channels do. I mean, I'm literally living the life of my dreams here at like 90% less than what I would pay in, let's say, another tropical destination like Miami or Hawaii. But I'll tell you what, I certainly wish that what I know now, I knew when I first moved here. It would have saved me a lot of time and money and headaches. If you have any questions about anywhere in Southeast Asia, as many people do, shoot me an email. We can arrange a phone call. Check the description box above. And let's get started. Now, in today's video, we're going to talk about a place that technically is not part of Southeast Asia. It's actually part of the United States, but it's only about a 3.5 hour flight to Manila, Philippines. And I'm talking about anybody from Saipan here, I'm going to show you a lot of love. I'm talking about the beautiful, unbelievably beautiful island of Saipan. Now, I'll be very honest with you. Saipan has to be one of the top 3 most beautiful places in the world. It's that beautiful. Now, Saipan does have what I call like a sister island, which is very close. It's only about 20 minutes away by air, and it's also part of the United States, and that is the island of Guam. Okay. But if there's one fundamental difference between Saipan and Guam, if I can describe how Saipan is different from Guam in one word, it would be smaller. Saipan has a population right now in December of 2024 of about 50,000 people, 45 to 50,000 people, whereas Guam has a population of about 200,000 people. And in terms of land size, Saipan is also about 1/4 the size of Guam. Just to put it in perspective, how big Saipan is. Saipan is about 12 miles long and about 12 and a half miles long and about 5.5 miles wide. Okay, so years ago, there used to be that retail clothing giant Abercrombie and Fitch that provided a lot of jobs on Saipan. Now they're gone, and honestly speaking, with an island the size of Saipan, which is really not that big, it's really hard to find jobs. I mean, there are limited jobs available, mostly in the hospitality, restaurant business, that sort of a thing, accommodation business. But it is hard to find jobs there. That being said, there are a lot of tourists from Asia who visit Saipan because it's still part of the United States, so they like that. Saipan gets a lot of tourists from neighboring Japan, which is very near. It's only about a 4-hour flight, Tokyo, or 3.5 hour flight, Tokyo to Saipan. South Korea, Hong Kong, Philippines, all of these places are really close to Saipan. So a lot of tourists go there. Now, one of the questions I get asked the most often is, people, they tell me, oh, it's so beautiful. It's a tropical paradise. How am I going to make a living? Well, that's a very good question. As I mentioned, Saipan is not a very big island. Its population is only about 45 to 50,000 people. But keep in mind a couple of things. I strongly believe, and I've always believed this, there's an old expression, where there's a will, there's a way. You can live in Saipan. You can live in paradise if you want. You can. I don't believe in the word no. I'm looking at it I've been to Saipan many times, and I can tell you with 100% certainty, you can. If you wanted to live there, you could make a living. How? Well, online, there's just an abundance of opportunities, okay? There's just so many things you could do online, all right? Now, if you wanted to go to Saipan and actually look for a job, I don't advise that. There's limited jobs available. You'll have a much better shot in Guam, okay? But I don't recommend getting a job in Saipan unless you have a government job or something already lined up. But what you could do is you could open a business. That's a really smart thing to do. And the reason I say that is because, again, it's not only the local population, which, as I mentioned, is 45 to 50,000 people. You have an enormous amount of tourists who visit Saipan on a daily basis from the nearby Asian countries like Japan, China, Philippines, uh, Taiwan, etc. So if somebody said to me that they wanted to open a business and if it was strictly only on the local economy, that you were depending only on the local economy by opening your business, I would say no. But the good news is you're not dealing with only the local economy. You're dealing with a tourist, enormous amount of tourists who come in daily all over Asia and even the United States and worldwide. I mean, obviously there's many more Asian tourists because it's so close to Asia, but you also have tourists coming to Saipan from all over the world. I mean, Saipan, those people who know about Saipan, they know it's an unbelievably beautiful place. And what attracts me to Saipan is it still has this air of anonymity or being anonymous, and not everybody knows about it. So you can still have peace and quiet and not all these large crowds like you find in Honolulu. But again, there's certainly enough of a population there and tourists that you could succeed in opening a business there. And what kind of business do I suggest? A hospitality business, accommodation. If you can open a small boutique hotel with a few rooms. I know this is costing a lot of money, or even something on a much smaller scale like a restaurant. You could make a lot of money. If you have good food at a good price, you'll do really, really well in Saipan. Or a souvenir type of a business, something in the hospitality business, because Saipan's economy is really largely dependent on tourists. Other than that, as far as some of the attractions there, the American Memorial Park is gorgeous. They have some Japanese command posts over there, which are beautiful. Golf courses are the most beautiful in the world. But I'm going to tell you this about Saipan. Without a doubt, it's one of the top 3 most beautiful places in the world. Who would not want to live in a paradise like that forever? And it's big enough that you can make it work if you wanted to move to Saipan. That's it for this edition of Southeast Asia Vibes. Until next time, take care, everybody.